The other important thing about the organisations that and what we've learned over time is there are some traits of leadership that are really important. And I'm going to share some of those with you today. The first one is that leaders need to involve their people. And so many organisations believe that they solve their problems in the corner office with the door shut. Wrong, doesn't happen. An organisation needs to be engaged. I've learned over time, you cannot make anybody do anything. Not even your dog. They might do it for a certain amount of time. So what we need to do as organisations is, if you've got a clear vision and a clear set of values, is engage the people in helping us solve our problems. I think it was important in our employee opinion survey, when you think about that one response that we got, that at WD-40 Company I'm encouraged to have a different point of view. I'm not smart enough to work anything out. We are not smart enough individually, so we have a true organisation that's involving our people. Another thing that I've learned over a lifetime, and one of my biggest learnings and another trait of leadership, is we need to value resistors and contrarians. Because even though they're telling us what we don't want to hear, the biggest value is in their voice. Now, I know this very well because Mum's 97 years old, and my mother is probably one of the best resistors and contrarians that I've ever met in my life. There's only two words you need to know when your mum's 97, and that's yes, mum. But I was down in Sydney, Australia just 3 or 4 weeks ago. It was her birthday. And I tell this story because it reminds me, and I think a great resistor or contrarian is like having a cup of tea with my mother. You know, I get on a plane in San Diego, and I go to LA, and I jump on a Qantas jet, and I fly 15 hours, and I arrive in Sydney, and I get a rent-a-car, and I drive out to the house where Mum is, where Mum's lived for 65 years. And she clearly knows what time I will be arriving, which is the normal time, and it's around 8 o'clock in the morning. And I go to the front door, and as I'm about to open the door, she's there, and immediately comes out of her mouth, "I thought you were going to be here 2 hours ago." I said, "Mum, you know the flight doesn't..." "Oh, anyhow, come inside." So we go into the kitchen where I was brought up, and there's the same table that's there, and the chairs. "Sit down, Garry. Now, this is what you should be doing. This is blah, blah, blah. And this must go on. What are you doing? How are you doing?" You know, I remember when I was 18 and used to come home, how she woke up every time I put my key in that front door, I will never know. But no, whether I came home at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 11 o'clock, or 5 o'clock in the morning, as soon as the key got towards the lock, "Is that you, Garry?" So, what's important about that conversation? Well, a lot of what Mum says is right. You know, she doesn't have to tell me over and over again. But the thing that is with Mum is she means me no harm. She's giving me this feedback with unconditional love. And a contrarian giving you feedback with unconditional love is very valuable. I believe that reasonable people who share the same values and absorb the same information will have a similar point of view. And a contrarian that's reasonable and shares your values and is sharing new information with you will absolutely help you make better decisions than on your own. Because not one of us is as good as all of us. So, what happens when I leave? You know, I leave Mum and I shut the door, and each time I've left now, I've often wondered, is this the last time that I'll be able to get that feedback from her as she gets older? And even though during the time I'm there, I've been given the rounds of the kitchen table many times, as I shut the door and walk away, I kind of think to myself, I can't wait to come back and get reminded of these things again. Again, like the values guide us in our organisation, these contrarians and resistors guide us in life because they tell us the things that we should be listening to. I tell an interesting story about alarm bells.